How many of you have heard Esau is a white man? I never heard anybody teach Esau was a white man. When I first came to the knowledge, I was convinced that Esau was white man. I pretty much did a lot of lessons on Esau being a white man. Was misinformed, as many people are, and this lesson we're going to prove to you. We're going to show you who Esau is, right? Esau is the chief head of the conspiracy. What I want to do is I want to read a passage that most of us have heard and we're going to explain this passage, and then we're going to go to Psalms 83, and we're going to read that, and then we're going to start with an introduction to Esau. This particular passage is what the big camps, the big Hebrew Israelite camps that got the largest members, right? I'm gonna read that sound bite just so you can see what's used, right? And then we're gonna go to Psalms 83, all right? Let's do it. Ezra 6, 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 9 reads, "For Esau is the end of the world." Stop right there. See that, brother? See? Esau's the end of the world. So who's ruling the world now? The so-called white man. So the so-called white man is Esau. That's the doctrine that's being taught because of one verse. Let me go back again. Let's read it again. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Oh, okay. So we got some things that we got to look at. When you read verse 9, right, and you don't read what was before it, right, you basically are making an assumption. Uh-oh, watch out now. Somebody don't like me now. You're making an assumption. What happens when you make an assumption? You know what they say about that, right? You make an ass out of you and me. If you're not making an ass out of me, you're making an ass out of yourself. Because when you take one verse and you make a doctrine out of that verse, it's an assumption, right? You made an assumption out of a verse. And because you made a wrong assumption, all those parishioners that listen to you embrace that same false concept. So it's no longer a precept, right? But it is a con job, right? Right? Con means to go against, right? So when you take a precept and you twist the precept, you make it a concept. Uh-oh. Watch out. Your moray just might be teaching you a concept and not a precept. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Well, I got to pat myself on the back. Well, I'm hitting hard this morning. All right. That was Ruach. You teaching the cons, taking Yah's precept and you twisting it and you making a doctrine out of it. So you have now taken a precept and made it a concept. And you have conned the people that you have in your organization into following a lie. Uh-oh. Woo. Man, I need to hit a boom on that one. Wow. That was boom. That was power right there, man. What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Okay, what times? All right. Remember that now, the times. So as the Messiah said, well, tied together, the Messiah said Jerusalem will be trodden down by the Gentiles. Now, that would have been a good opportunity for Yahshua to say Jerusalem will be trodden down by the Edomites. He didn't say that, did he? He said Jerusalem will be trodden down by the Gentiles, which means we got to identify who these Gentiles are. Because if Jerusalem is trodden down by the Gentiles, and here Ezra, he's saying, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Right? Or when shall be the end of the first? Okay. Now, you got to ask the question. What is he talking about? What's the first? Which shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that follow. Okay? He said, from Abraham to Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand first held first the heel of Esau. Right? When shall be the end of the first? Okay. Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world. Okay. Now, when you get into these, what they call apocalyptic languages, people think the end means the end of the world. The world's going to come to an end. The world's not going to end. There's no such thing as the end of the world. Right? So we have to look at and see what the end of the world he's referring to. Right? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? So, what's that talking about, right? Esau is the end of the world. It ties with Daniel ruling the nations. Not the end of Esau, but the end of the nations being ruled. So you could read that and say, oh, Esau's ruling. That's not what that's saying. That's not saying Esau's ruling. It says Esau is the end of the world rulership. In other words, the times of the Gentiles is tied with Esau. Right? So in other words, when you identify who Esau is and his partnership and connection with the nations, that's the end. That's why it's hard to find a book to define who Esau is, because when you define who Esau is the end of the world. It's like a riddle. Right? Esau is the one who is the chief conspirator. He is the one that's in control of Israel, right? Being in captivity. They released the chains, but we have our minds are in prison. Even so much with the name. The big camps can't let go of Jesus. That's proof that you're still in chains. All right. Everything we got from Esau or from the Gentiles is wrong but the name. Christmas is wrong, right? Easter's wrong, right? All the holidays is wrong. Birthdays is wrong, right? But the name is right.
I wonder what the Christians think about that.
You still holding on to the doctrine of Esau when you embrace the name that Esau gave you. Uh-oh. Man, I'm telling you. Let's go back in. Ooh, let me see. Hold on a second.
Amen.
Esau is the end of the world ruling. Because why? We know that all the prophets talked about the Most High sending all nations against Jerusalem. Right? Because who dwells in Israel? Right? not the people you think. Right? We're gonna prove to you in this lesson. So I want y'all to stay tuned. I want you to like this video and let people know we're gonna get deep with Esau because people want to know. Inquiring minds want to know, right? We're gonna prove to you that Israel is inhabited and dwelled by Arabs. Only that one piece of the real estate is inhabited by another people. Revelation 2:9-3:9, right? And they come into two segments. You got Ashkenazim and you got Sephardim, right? Okay. Think about that for a second. So that's only in Jerusalem. But outside of Jerusalem, how do I know? I've been there. I've seen them. You got Moabite, Ammonites, Edomites, still there, still black, still on the land. Canaanites, still there, still black, still on the land. They didn't turn white. You've been lied to. And that camp doctrine has misinformed you because you got you believing that Esau turned white all of a sudden. So Esau is the end of the world simply means what? That Esau is the end of the world rulership of the nations. With Israel, right? True Israel, he said he would break the pieces, right? Of the nations, right? This with the stone, right? Who's the stone? Yahshua is the stone. The stone is going to, with the nation, break the pieces of the nation, right? So everything is getting ready for that great takeover that's going to take place. Okay, so Esau is the end of the world rulership of the nations. All the nations that oppressed, that bound the children of Israel through the diaspora, whether it be the Arab slave trade, whether it be the transatlantic slave trade, or whether it be the Indian slave trade. You got an Indian slave trade, which took some Israelites into China, right? Before we get into the Black History Month, we're going to break down Luke 21:24. So we led captive all nations. We're going to show you the Israelites have been led captivity into all nations, and they're still there today. Just like the book said, just like the prophet said that the Most High spoke, right? All right, so let's go back. So Esau is the end of the rulership of the nations that he was in alliance with. And Yaakov is the beginning of it that follows. So what's that talking about, right? That's talking about the kingdom age. When the earth is overthrown, all the nations are overthrown, and the nation of Israel with the king is ruling the nations with the rod of iron. That's all it's talking about. Esau's not ruling the world. So you take that one little sound bite and you make Esau be the white man because he says, see, so Esau is in the world. He's the chief conspirator. Always has been, always will be. You look at the history of Esau, he always made alliances with people to come against Israel. He even intermarried the same people Israel married. He intermarried the Canaanites, right? He married the Ishmaelites, right? We're going to show this to you in this lesson. So I don't want y'all to miss the lesson. If y'all's willing, we're going to be here and we're going to break this baby down, and it's going to be no more question or doubt about who Esau is and who are the confederacy that he has made alliances with, right? Now, let's go back in. The hand of man is between the heel and the hand. Other question Ezra asked, thou not. Verse 11. Notice what it says. The hand of man is between the heel and the hand. So now, not only does Esau represent the nations, right? Esau represents all those that oppress the children of Israel, not just simply Esau, but all those, because he says the hand of the man is between the heel, right? All these policies, no matter what nation we've gone to, right? If you go to those nations, you'll see that the children of Israel are being oppressed under the politics of every nation where we are. Right? So that's what that hand is. It's not saying that Esau is in every nation ruling, oppressing us. Certainly, we got places even in Africa where people that are returning to the covenant are being oppressed by those African governments. Right? What about in China? India, right? Persia, right? Well, who are the Persians? Who the Iraqi rulership, right? They got Israelites. The scripture said Israel went into Persia, the Median Persian and Babylonian territory, still being oppressed by another people. Are they Edomites too? Okay. Now, let's go back in. The hand of man is betwixt or between the heel and the hand. Other questions Ezra asked, thou not. Verse 11. I beseech thee, show thy servant the. Huh?
Verse 11.
Verse 11. I answered then and said, O Yah, that bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou showed me part the last night. So, verse 13, he answered and said to me, stand upon thy feet and hear a mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou stand, excuse me, where thou stand shall not be moved. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood, right? And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed, right? 17. And it happened that when I heard it, I stood upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spoke, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. How about that? Where have we seen that at? The sound of many waters, right? Let's continue. 18. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. Who's he going to visit? Them, not just Esau, them that dwell upon the earth. Verse 19. And I will begin to make inquisition of who? Them, that they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. Right? So we got to see that this is not just talking about Esau, so-called white man, as this doctrinal teaching says. They not the only people that oppress Israel. Don't you fool yourself, like my dad used to say. Israel has been oppressed continuously and consistently by every alliance that Esau has partnered with. My. Let's go back in. Verse 20. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished. Oh, wait a minute. The world's going to be finished? Right? Finished what? Did he just say Esau was the end of the world? Right? Okay. So Esau now is shaking in his shoes. Why? Because we basically are zooming in on who he is. He's shaking because he knows his time is up. All right? And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. Here it is. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together, and the children of the year shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall do what? Live. And what? Be raised up. Verse 22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. The trumpets shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. What those trumpets are, right? The trumpets of judgment, right? Everything's coming together, right? Let's go back in. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. Oh, now it's starting to open up, right? And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Verse 25. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape and see what? My salvation and the end of your world. How about that? So he's breaking it down. The end of the Gentile reign. Because that's who's reigning. It's not Esau reigning. He's just the chief conspirator. He's in partnership with those that's ruling the world. Oh my. Verse 26. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth. Sound like to me the transformation, right? When he said, those that are alive shall be called to meet them in the cloud. Right? Let's go back in. Those that have not tasted death from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed. There it is. And turned into another meaning. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. Right? How about that? Jeremiah 31:31. I'll write my laws in their hearts, right? And they'll need no more to teach his neighbor, but they all will know me from the least to the greatest. This is what the Most High showed Ezra. That's why they took this out of the book. Esau, literally in alliance to take this out. Right? Now, we're going to prove to you that King James was the Edomite. I'm giving you a precursor. Let's go back. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. Verse 28. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. So truth shall be declared. Truth shall be declared. See, these camps teaching lies. Truth shall be declared, right? Right? Okay? Not enough for you to know you're an Israelite. Truth must be declared, not fables and falsehood and doctrinal beliefs to build your camp, but truth, right? And when he talked with me, verse 29, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. Verse 30, and these words said he unto me, I am come to show thee the time of the night to come. If thou wilt pray yet more and fast 7 days again, I shall tell thee greater things by day than I have heard. Verse 32. For thy voice is heard before the Most High. For the mighty have seen thy righteous dealings. He hath seen also the chastity which thou hast had ever since thy youth. Right? 33. And therefore have he sent me to show thee all these things and to say unto thee, be of good comfort and fear not. And hasten not with the times that are past, to think vain things, that thou may not hasten from the latter times, right? And it came to pass after this that I wept again and fasted 7 days, like he was told to do, right? In like manner, that I might fulfill the 3 weeks which he told me. 3 weeks is what? 21 days, right? Who also fasted 21 days? It was Daniel, right? Verse 36. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed within me again. There goes that vexation. And I began to speak. Does he have a demon living inside of him? He was vexed, right? Let's go back in. Quit battling, brother. Go ahead. And I began to speak before the Most High. Verse 37. For my spirit was greatly set on fire. Oh, that's the vexation. The spirit was set on fire, and my soul was in distress. Oh, sound like to me he was mad. That's the vexation. You ever been mad? Because you see things going on amongst your people, right? That's that vexation. It's not living inside of you, taking control of you. Right? That's mental. That's a mental illness, right? Let's go back. Okay. And darkness, let me see, and then was the spirit. That's skip. Okay, verse 38. And I said, O Yah, thou spoken from the beginning of creation, even the first day, and said thus, let the heaven and the earth be made, and thy word was perfect. 39. And then was the spirit and darkness and silence, where on every side the sound of man's voice was not yet formed. Then command thou a fair light to come forth of thy treasure, that thy work might appear. Upon the second day thou made the spirit of the firmament, and commanded in part asunder to make a division between the waters, that the one part might go up and the other remain beneath. 42. Upon the third day thou did command that waters should be gathered together. Okay, so we're going through creation, right? Let's skip down and see. So he's going through the days. He goes down and says, verse 51, unto Enoch thou gave one part which was dried up the third day, that he should dwell in that same part wherein are 1,000 hills, right? Talks about Leviathan. But unto Leviathan thou gave the seventh part, namely the moist. So let's get going into a whole nother thought, right? Okay, now let's go back here to verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Yah, because thou made the world for our sakes, right? As for the other people, which also came of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from vessel. And now, O Yah, behold, these heathens, which had ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be what? Masters over us, and to do what? To devour us. Notice he said heathens, not Edomites, right? Verse 58. But we, thy people, talking about Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Whom thou hast called thy firstborn, right? Oh, who's the firstborn? Thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover are given into whose hands? Their hands. Whose hands? Whose hands are they given into? The hands of Esau? See, we've been lied to. We've been made to believe we only in the hands of Esau. We're in the hands of the heathens. The alliance of Esau. Okay? If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? Right? See that? How long shall this endure? Right? So now we got a whole nother comprehension of what Esau is the end of the world means.